Hey guys, so I wanted to go ahead and do kind of an explanation video as to kind of what, I guess really what's happening with competing and kind of, an update on some things that have forced that to kind of change and for me to push my show dates back. And so I went, first of all, to the doctor and got my blood work done again, which is really good for anybody to do to figure out things like your thyroid and your hormones and stuff like that. And especially for competing, it's good for coaches to know all of those things so that they have a better understanding of the platform that they're working with when it comes to your body. So I went to my doctor and got my blood work done, and there's some medical things that I'm having to deal with, and they're not the easiest. They're not the worst, but they're definitely not the easiest. And I've already told people before, I've got a terrible thyroid. My thyroid is extremely low and inactive. But there's been some other things that have been added on top of that. And it's made my prep a lot harder. My body has dramatically changed. The past year and a half in the way it functions on its own, and so that's something that both myself and my coach are having to deal with. And when it comes to medical stuff, everybody needs to really pay attention to that and understand the importance of it, because if you're not taking care of your body medically and getting checked out and finding these things out for yourself, you could potentially really hurt yourself in the long run. Like me, if I weren't to have went and found, these certain things out, yes, it's, something that's big into my prep, and, now me and my coach can try and figure out how to work around it. But the main thing is knowing the steps that I'm now going to have to take even later down the road for myself. And it's not easy. It's not fun to hear news and stuff like that, but it's better for me, to figure out now than to figure out way down the road when it possibly could be worse, or, I'm to the point to where I'm having to be hospitalized, like, who knows? So that's, a big thing that has forced my prep to be a little bit longer than what we had planned. As of right now, we are planning to do the Flexless Classic possibly. We were going to do Music City, but as of right now, Music City isn't posted on our state's bodybuilding website, so it may be a no-go. And so I'm about 12 weeks out. I am planning on doing figure, and it will be my very first time ever doing figure. But if we get to the point to where, closer to 8 weeks out, we realize, maybe I do need to do bikini one more time, I'm totally not against it, because I do not want to walk out on stage mediocre. I'm not okay with that. My very first show was probably the most dramatic for me. That's when I had dropped my most weight, and I went from 205 pounds to 122 in around like 19 to 20 weeks. But that also leads me kind of to something else that has caused me to kind of not put my prep on hold. I'm not putting my prep on hold because I've continuously stayed on top of myself of, you know, doing everything I need to keep myself getting ready for a show. But the reason as to why my life changed so much after my first, or right before my first prep. So when I was at my heaviest, I had just gotten divorced. And I know that's not everybody's business, and they don't need to know that. And I'm probably going to get comments like, Austina, why are you putting your business out there for everybody? But you know what? At this point, it was a learning experience. It was something that happened to me, and it was traumatic, and it was terrible, and, you know, put me at my lowest of lows. And I was a mess. I hated myself, extremely insecure, felt worthless, and was on the edge of no longer living. And for me to share this, you know, is not the easiest thing, especially on a public platform, because a lot of people don't know about that part, about that, you know, some people don't even remember that I have been married and I've been divorced. You know, I was only married for 2 years, but I was with him for a total of 4. So, I mean, no matter what, you know, it was a marriage. It was a serious relationship. So, you know, ending it was terrible. It was not the best moment of my life, to be honest. But that took a very big emotional toll on me. And I realize now, now that my most recent relationship ended, and it ended very badly, that I never took the time to mentally heal from that. I had met my most recent boyfriend while I was going through my divorce, and you know, we had become best friends through our first entire prep. We both went through our first prep together. We're under the same coach, worked out all the time together, meal prep together, like did all of it together. And it was great to have like that support. It was, you know, I wouldn't have made it without, you know, him being there. And but the most important thing to me was the fact that he was there when I was having thoughts of ending my life. And he literally talked me off a ledge. And, you know, after that, it was just like, okay, you know, I have somebody here who, you know, is taking time out of their day to make sure that I'm okay. And, you know, he barely even knows me, but he is telling me how important I am and how, you know, there's a specific reason that I'm here. And that the reason that my previous marriage ended the way it did was not my fault. And that, you know, what had happened with my ex was on him, and that I could not blame myself for what he had done. And, you know, he was just really there, very supportive. And so it led to, you know, a great friendship. And, you know, for that, I'll always have an emotional connection to him. I always will. But, you know, now, present time, you know, that relationship ended, and I am back to square one. Sorry, I was trying not to get emotional during this video, but it's a little fresh. So, I'm having to learn who I am and what I have to offer. And the biggest thing that's going around on social media right now, and is one of the biggest areas as to where I struggle personally, is loving who I am, especially when I don't quite understand who I am and my purpose in life. And that's hard. At 24 years old, I feel like I should have my life a little more together. And that's something that I've always struggled with, is the fact that I don't know if the way I'm living my life is, the right way, or if, I'm doing something wrong, and whatnot. But the biggest concern for me was to love myself no matter what. And I've never been able to love myself. And I'm finally to the point to where, I just need to admit it and work on it. Now that I've pointed out where I'm struggling, and I know what the main issue is, I have to want to change it. I have to want to take the steps to figuring that out and doing whatever it takes, because I don't want to be like this anymore. Like, it's not a fun and enjoyable life when you wake up in the morning and you literally despise, one, what you see in the mirror, and then two, just myself as a person. And I don't think I'm a bad person. It has nothing to do with me thinking I'm a terrible human being, but I just don't know what I have to offer to the world, and what my importance is. I've taken the blame for, why my relationships have failed, and why I feel like I have failed when it comes to, a career or school, or, all these different things. And when you start thinking like that, it mentally screws you up. It screws you up. And I have been talking to a dear friend of mine and my mom, and I have decided that, therapy and counseling and maybe medication, other than the medications I'm already on for my other medical stuff, I think it's finally time for me to do that for myself. And I've been watching this girl. Her name's Victoria. I'm probably gonna mess up her last name, so no judgment, and I'm sorry, Victoria, but she's Dorino. I couldn't say the last name, but I know that she's engaged to Reagan Grimes. I can say his name properly, but Victoria has touched a subject in her recent YouTube videos about how, going to therapy was such a game changer for her when it came to her depression and anxiety. And those things do run in my family, and I know that I have them. And it's not me trying to be like the, pity party, I'm so sorry that, you're struggling with those things. No, this is not what this is about. This is about, this is my journey, and this is the very beginning of me learning to find who I am and to love that person. All my life, I'm so about finding somebody else that I can pour my love into, and it was never myself. It was never, what can I do to make Austina feel loved? It was, what can I do to make sure that everybody else around me feels loved? I love spoiling people, especially if we're in a relationship. I am going to spoil the absolute heck out of that person. And I now at 24 am struggling with loving myself. And one of the biggest things for me out of Victoria's video, like I said, was the fact that she isn't scared or ashamed to say that I'm dealing with things, that, you know, I'm not a perfect human being, and my life is worth putting in the extra effort to figure out how to be better. And I want to take those steps as well. And I want to get rid of, you know, these feelings that I have, because, you know, I may not ever live my life to the fullest potential if I don't. And I want specific things in life. And if this is what's holding me back from being, you know, that person, then, you know, I need to do it. I need to make those changes. And I know that I have a good support system, so there's no reason for me to feel like I'm alone in it. Now, may I be alone in the way that I handle it and the way that it affects me as a person compared to somebody else? Yeah, I am going to be a little different. I'm not like, you know, every other person that deals with anxiety or depression. You know, everybody has their own little twist on it, and, you know, how it affects their daily life. And I love competing. I absolutely love competing. Is it so hard to do sometimes, you know, when you just want to be like normal? Yes, it's extremely hard. You know, friends constantly ask me to go out and do things, and, you know, sometimes I have to say no. You know, it's a sacrifice that I have to make to be able to continue doing what I'm doing. And, you know, some friends don't understand it. You know, they're like, I don't understand, you know, why can't you come out and go, you know, to the bars with us, you know, just once? And I mean, I still do. I don't want to say that I say no to that completely, because I definitely, you know, still go out and have fun. And that's one thing I have been better at. This last 2 years, or more like the last year and a half, I had pretty much focused my life on the guy that I was with. And I literally was so concerned about making him so happy and doing everything that I could to, you know, make sure that he was happy with me, that I literally devoted all of my time to him, other than, you know, going to the gym on my own on days that he worked, and, you know, obviously going to work myself. But any sparing moment, you know, I was more concerned about what I could do for him rather than me. And some people want to say that, you know, that's the way it should be. You know, when you're in a relationship, you always devote and make them a priority, and they should be one of your top priorities. Well, you know, that's good and true and all, but now that he's walked away and I've walked away, what am I left with? I'm left with myself. And do I like what I'm left with? Not necessarily. And that's where the problem lies, is when people decide that they no longer want to be a part of your life, and at the end of the day, when you are all alone, are you happy with what you have? And that is where right now I am, is discovering and finding out how to be the best me possible. And it is probably going to be the hardest thing I have ever had to do in life at all, like in total. You know, since I didn't take the time to do that, you know, after my divorce, when I should have, I'm now having to deal with it later on. And this is where I say things that you need to do to take care of you, you need to do it now. You need to stop hesitating, you know, whether it's a medical thing, whether it's, you know, something you've wanted to do for years and you've always put it aside, you know, do it. And do it knowing that at the end of the day, you marked something either off your bucket list, or you did something to better your growth or your happiness or education, or, you know, whatever your goals are. You did it. You didn't say no. You didn't say, I'm not good enough to do that thing. And that's another thing that Victoria was talking about in one of her YouTube videos, which, Victoria, you totally inspired me to talk about these things. But is your sense of worth, of if you truly deserve to do these things that you want to do in life. That could be, you know, kind of where I'm at, of after my relationships, why am I worth being happy? Why am I worth anything? Like, why do I deserve to go out and be spontaneous and travel, or, you know, do things that, you know, I normally pushed aside the past couple years, like today. So today I am making one of my very first spontaneous trips ever, and I'm traveling down to Georgia to stay with a friend of mine who offered his home up to me for 2 days, and just to have fun and just to get away and give myself a break from everything that's going on in life. And I've never done that. I've always been the person to hide myself away in my house, in my room, and I've been doing that for the past 2 weeks. Whenever I wasn't at the gym or at work, I've literally been in my bedroom, and it's not healthy, first of all, but my depression was getting the best of me, and my anxiety was getting the best of me, to the point to where I felt like I couldn't breathe. And that's a scary thing, is to literally feel like your chest is collapsing, and you have no way to stop it, you have no way to control it, and that's, you know, my anxiety and my depression taking over my life. And once again, I'm sure I'll get somebody on here that's gonna tell me that I'm doing this for people to feel sorry for me, and no, it's not anything about that. But I know that more than just myself, you know, there's other people that are going through things that are very similar, and if, you know, other people can inspire me to share my story, I want to be able to do the same for others and let them know, hey, you are not by yourself. All of us are not perfect human beings. We are created all very differently, and, you know, we need to do what's best for all of us individually. And if we do that and create, you know, this happy atmosphere around ourselves, then could you imagine, you know, how much better friendships and relationships between people and society would be? It would just be an all-around, you know, better experience of life. And, you know, I want everybody to be able to have the chance to, you know, find somebody that can get on that one-on-one level with them and really truly understand what they're going through. So with all of that being said, this is the first video that's going to be a part of her journey to find herself, which will coincide with my prep, because this is going to be, you know, a different type of prep for me. This is not going to be the same as the last 3 that I've done. This is going to be completely different. It's a prep for not only a show, but it's a prep to finally become who I am. And I want to, I want to share that with people, and I want people, to be able to maybe find some encouragement and some motivation and, maybe possibly some inspiration out of these. And if anybody wants to contact me, to shoot me a message and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through, or if you just personally just want to talk to me or whatever, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'll put those at the end of my video, or I'll put them in my comments or description or whatever. I'm still getting used to this YouTube thing, and I know I'm not the best video maker either. These are taken on my phone and I post them, and that's that. But that is where I'm at right now. So medically, some things going on, emotionally, mentally, some things going on, physically, some things going on. But I'm going to put up a dang fight, and I'm going to do my best to just go for it and see what happens and take charge of my own life. And that's the last thing I'm going to touch on. I have been told by people who know what I've been going through and what I've gone through in the past that it's time for me to be a little selfish, to stop being so concerned about what other people think of me, and to stop being so concerned about making everybody else happy. I've done that to the point to where I've worn myself out. And once again, I come home with knowing that everybody else is happy, but in my heart and soul, I'm not. And that is where I want to grow. And it's hard for me to say, okay, I'm going to be selfish now, because I've not, I guess, been raised that way, to be a selfish person. I mean, everybody has their selfish moments. I'm not talking and saying that I've never been selfish before, but I've never been selfish in the fact that I need to take charge of my own life, and that it's time for me to build my own empire and reconstruct myself into the human that I want to be. And so if you need to be selfish and take a step back and say, okay guys, like, I need to take a break from doing everything for you and, just work on me for a minute, that's okay. That wasn't something that was possible for me to do while I was in a relationship with somebody else, because they were my main concern. And I totally believed, and sometimes I still do, that I could love somebody without loving myself. And yes, that is very much so possible. It's not impossible. But is it the healthiest thing? No, it's not. Because now look at where I'm at. I'm now single, and I've poured so much into someone else that I left myself with nothing. I've literally walked away with empty hands. Other than, of course, in the very beginning when we were just friends, what he did for me then, I'll always walk away with the fact that I am still alive. But I don't have anything else other than, some hurt feelings and emotions out of it. And, sometimes we have relationships that end that way. So now I need to be selfish. Now I need to take care of me. Now I need to put me first and figure myself out. Because also, once I become happy and, you know, am truly okay with who I am, then I'll, one, get rid of most of my insecurities. You know, that's my goal, is to get rid of, you know, my insecurities and my huge concern with other people's opinions. But I would be able to make other people happy just for the fact that I will be an enjoyable person to be around. You know, when you're insecure and you hate life and, you know, are miserable, it rubs off on other people. And, you know, some people will distance themselves from you because all you are is a negative Nancy, or all you are is, you know, the big mope of the group, and you're never happy. And, you know, I don't want that to be me. I don't want that label. Am I allowed to have my moments? Of course, have my moments. Like, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna be upset, I'm gonna have hurt feelings, but that's just another reason I'm human. Like, I am allowed to do those things. But I hope somebody takes something away from this, and I hope that people who actually have been paying attention to, you know, what I've been doing, and, you know, care to listen to this whole entire thing, I hope that, you know, you get a better understanding of where I'm at. And I don't want people to think that I'm that type of girl that consistently postpones shows, because that's definitely not me. You can ask my coach. We pushed and pushed and pushed twice for 2 shows, and I was doing everything that I thought I possibly could to do that. But that was before we knew about some of these medical things that I have going on. So this is not normal for me to push a show so far back, but I needed to do this for me. I needed to take a step back and say, okay, there is something more going on than just the fact that my body's just not wanting to cooperate. But like I said, I hope somebody maybe takes something away from this, and that you guys decide to keep up with my videos that I'm going to post from here on out. I'm going to try and do one every week, which I know that I've said that before, but this is something that I've truly wanted to do, and this is going to be part of me doing those things that make me happy, and sharing videos like this, even though they can get really personal, make me extremely happy. I like sharing my story and my testimony on certain things that I've been through in my life, and you know, I want other people to know that they're not alone. And I mean, sometimes I want to know that I'm not alone. So thank you for watching, and you know, if anybody has any questions or want to talk to me or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I hope everybody has a blessed day. Go do you.